What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and today I want to go over rune management in pretty much like a rune 101 guide on what's the purpose of all these runes and like what stats are you going to look for. Not necessarily on how you should rune certain monsters, like specific monsters, but we're just going to go over like what you should look for on a rune. Like when you're running giants, you're running dragons, necro, all that stuff, and a rune drops and you're just like, do I want to keep this or not? So, kind of want to explain like my thought process behind if a rune drops, why I decide to keep it or why I would decide not to keep it. Um, and take into account that I am just like a mid-level player, but I do feel like I have a decent amount of experience, and I also um, have decently rune monsters. I happen to win a lot of like my guild wars and stuff. Yeah, that's doesn't matter. Trying to like validate why you guys should listen to me. So, but we'll just get into it, and then if you like it, then maybe that should be why. So we'll just start off with just going like rune by rune. So first would be energy. Energy runes. You typically want them. So you're going to use an energy set or an energy rune to really just boost the HP, obviously, on your monsters because it's going to give you that 15% HP. But there's better runes out there, so you really want to have good stats on your energy runes in order to compensate for not having like will or a violent set or a swift set or anything like that. So you're just using it just to get that extra 15% HP if you happen to get that bonus, or the rune just has really, really good stats on it. Um, so one of my runes, I guess for an energy set, we can just scroll through like a few of them here. Nothing really too exciting with these runes. Um, but yeah, but for like speed slot twos, speed slot twos are kind of difficult to come by with any rune, especially 6-star legendary ones. So if you happen to get an energy rune that has speed slot 2, and but you don't just want to take any of them. If it has like accuracy, resistance, and like flat stats, it's not really going to benefit your monsters that much. So you want to get runes like this that have the big HP percents, big defense percents, and overall stats that are going to benefit a monster that you currently have. You don't want to typically hold on to like random runes, hoping that you'll get like the Dream Nat 5 in the future. Not saying that you shouldn't hold on to that rune, but if it doesn't provide the stats that's like really going to be effective, then it's really just not that important of a rune, and you can most likely sell it. So I really wouldn't recommend like holding on to a bunch of energy runes, but a good portion of them is okay. Just but only if the stats are good. So the stats that we're going to look for an energy rune are just going to be speed is going to be important, HP percent, defense percent, and attack percent. You're generally not going to do energy sets on damage dealers. You're usually either going to go fatal or rage, and on top of that, you'll most likely are going to do a blade set to compensate for the amount of crit rate that you need in order to make a damage dealer really effective. And then for healers, even though you do want them to be tanky, then you don't want to use like your healers. You want them to rotate through their heals and rotate through their skills. So you're most likely are going to want to put them on a really fast swift set or on a violent set. Your secondary set, I guess, could be energy, or if you just have that one good energy rune that has good speed, good HP, maybe some good resistance in there, good accuracy, depending on who like that support monster is. Maybe you could put them on like a big bruiser since they don't have to be on will. But yeah, having them on like the four rune sets are going to be really important. But right now we're just focusing on energy. Yeah, so your energy, you want good speed, HP, defense, HP and defense percents, and then the other stats will take priority after those 3 stats are already on the rune. But so usually if I'm running a dungeon, I will keep. I generally won't keep like a 5-star rune unless it has 5 speed on it. So then to try to roll it into 20 speed, but if it doesn't have that, then I'm most likely not going to keep it. The reason why this one is sitting here is because it is legendary. If it rolls 8% into HP or defense like 4 times in a row, that's 32% stats for either defense or HP percent. So if I get maximum rolls on there, then I'm going to get a really high substat on this rune. So I'd be willing to keep it, and then I could just enchant out the resistance or accuracy depending on what I need. And then, but you want grindable stats on your runes, which are speed, HP percent, defense percent, and attack percent, because you can't grind crit rate, crit damage, resistance, and accuracy. You can grind flat stats, and every once in a while, flat stats are okay. Like, for example, on my Lucian, I have the flat attack here on my slot 6 rune. So trying to just maximize the amount of damage output, then I would grind the flat attack. But most monsters aren't going to use flat stats. So yeah, so if you get an energy rune, I typically wouldn't keep an energy rune that has more than one flat stat, unless it's speed, of course. Like speed, I equal speed to like HP percent, defense percent, and attack percent, just because one is grindable and it's also very effective. But it also depends on the rune. So we'll go into the next rune, which would be guard. So guard runes, you pretty much are rarely going to use them unless it is a legendary rune, just because not many monsters you want to have high defense. But as you can see on here, I do have like my defense specific monsters on the guard sets, like the Fengyan, Abelio. I do have the Skogul on there, and it's just like a broken set, and I just need like an HP percent slot 2, but increasing his defense will help him survive, just making him really tanky. So the reason why I have it on Hua is because it just had a really good attack percent sub and had some decent speed on there, and also assist with her tankiness for raids, because that's what I have her on this guard set for. I just have her on Swift Guard. So both of the guard set runes that I have on her are just gonna make her that much more reliable for raids and make her live longer. But they also have really good substats, which is why I kept them. So the next rune, yeah. So we won't go into like big guard runes. So guard runes you could do maybe on Copper and Bulldozer, because you want them to have like a defense percent slot 2. But I don't believe I have mine on Copper or Bulldozer, just because I have them on like a bigger damage dealer set, which is Rage. That's what I have them on. So next, Swift. So Swift runes, they can be versatile, but mainly you're looking for speed on Swift runes. If the Swift rune doesn't have speed on it, most likely you shouldn't be using it. But there's exceptions to that policy, which are if it has HP percent, defense percent, and attack percent, and then just like a random stat on there, then you could still keep that rune and try to roll it to see if it does get into one of those 3 stats. And if you could just get a high and one of those stats, then yeah, obviously keep it, because all monsters, that's all you're looking for, is just to increase their stats as much as possible. But you could do that on another rune that's gonna be better for that set. Like you could just have a really tanky rune that's a little bit slower, or just have no speed at all, but you could have it like on a violent set instead. So that's why like a different set would be more important than having like a Swift rune that has all those stats. But if you're lacking on runes, rune diversity, then yeah, if you find a rune that has like HP percent, defense percent, like a big crit damage sub, then yeah, you can keep it. Most likely I should be selling like this rune that I'm showing right here, just because I already have other like fatal sets and rage sets that have these stats or better in like the same kind of rune. So I don't really need to keep this rune, but in case I do want to make like a really fast damage dealer, then the Swift set will make it that much better if I'm trying to do like speed tuning and stuff like that. But I'll just look for those stats on a different set. I probably shouldn't be focusing on a Swift set to make them faster. I should look for a damage dealer set that has decent speed that will assist me with the speed tuning. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. But yeah, but mainly for a Swift set, you want to do obviously speed. You want to have like the fastest Swift sets possible, because you get that plus 25% speed when you have all 4 of them on your monster. So you're looking just for big speed subs. And priority runes for Swift sets are speed slot 2s, because there's many runes out there that you can get as a speed slot 2 rune, but to put it on your Swift set just kind of alleviates the amount of speed that you need on the rest of your Swift sets. I mean, on the rest of your Swift runes, because like this one here has 27 speed, and I could have another energy rune that has like 28 speed, but I need 4 runes to make the whole Swift set. So if I use one of those runes for a speed slot 2, then that just alleviates the amount of speed that I need on the other runes, specifically for the Swift set. So if I'm lacking on like a slot 1 or like a slot 5 or slot 6 for a Swift set with really high speed, then I don't have to prioritize using my leftover runes, my leftover Swift sets, or my slower Swift sets to fill that slot, because I'm using a speed slot 2 main rune that all the other runes share, but you're utilizing that Swift set, or utilizing that slot 2 Swift rune to complete that 4 set. So then you can use your faster like energy runes, guard runes, whatever set you want to put on there, because you're trying to just make that unit fast. So like I have on my Bastet, I have the Swift speed slot 2, and then since I have slower Swift slots 1 and slot 4 runes, then I could use my faster runes like this shield rune here, and then the energy rune down here, which has my faster speeds, instead of having to use like a Swift rune down there that only has like 24, 23, or even less than that. So and always know like what your threshold is for your speed. So just organize your runes by speed and just see where your threshold is for your speed, so then you know what to sell. So if like a purple rune drops but it only has like 3 speed on it in all of your like main runes, like I would probably keep a purple rune that has 3 speed on it for a Swift set, because all my fastest runes right here are around like 17, 15 speed. So that purple rune could actually go to 18 speed. So I would actually keep a Swift slot 1, even if it's legendary 5-star. I would still keep it even if it only has like 3 speed on it, just because I'm just trying to get the fastest Swift set as possible. But that's specifically when you're speed chasing. Mainly you don't really want to speed chase, but if you just need that really fast attack bar booster and you're really trying to take that first turn, then yeah, you could speed chase up to a point. And yeah, so you just have like a Swift rune that has 3 speed, flat attack, flat defense, but then it rolls into 18 speed, and then you grind it to like 22, then yeah, that's going to be better than my Wusa rune right here that's only 20 speed. So that's going to be 2 speed faster. So if you're really trying to push, if you do that on like every single rune that you have, obviously besides the slot 2 rune, then yeah, you get 2 speed faster on all of your runes, then that's 10 speed right there. And that could make a difference. So like if I had 10 speed faster on this Bastet, then she'd be over 300 speed instead of just being at 290. So yeah, so that's what I think about with my Swift sets, but you want to know what your speed threshold is. So because like some of my runes, like down here, there's 26 speed, 27, 24, 21. So if a rune drops that only like plus 5 speed, if it's a 5 speed on the rune down here and it's a 5-star rune, then I'm most likely not going to keep it. I mean, if it goes into 20 speed, like maybe I'll roll it, maybe I'll keep it and roll it just once just to see if it rolls into speed. But if not, then I'm just getting rid of it right away, because it's not even going to get to some of my fastest speed runes in this slot. But you can see like my threshold down here is maybe like 16, 17 speed. Like I don't need to keep runes that could roll to 16 speed, just because I already have runes that have 16 speed on it, so there's no point for me to keep that rune. It'll just be a waste of my inventory. Unless it happens to be maybe a little bit better stats than what I have, then I'll sell this one and then keep the other one. Yeah, so now we'll go to Blade Runes. Blade Runes are really beneficial for damage dealers. As you can see, my twins have Blade Runes, but if you could see the consistency in all of these runes, they all have 2 different stats on there. They should have 3 different stats on there. which are going to be attack percent, crit rate, and crit damage. That should be on every single blade rune that you possibly have. That's the mainly crit rate and crit damage, because not all damage dealers rely on attack percent, but if you're using a blade set, you're most likely putting it on a damage dealer. But like if you put it on Sigmaris, which still scales off of attack, so really you could just use your blade runes. Like, so this one right here had good substats, and it was defense percent, and doesn't have the crit rate and crit damage, but it did have really good speed. It had the resistance, and I just enchanted in some HP, so that's why I put them on my Fignon. But I would prefer the HP percent to actually be as high as the attack percent, and then the attack percent could really be taken off of there. But it still helps. But this was a legendary rune that I kept. But if this was like a blue rune and it just had the resistance and speed on there, then I probably wouldn't have kept this rune. But since it was legendary, that's most likely why I kept this. I got this one a long time ago, so I don't really remember it. But like this one here. So it had the crit rate and crit damage, which is kind of small rolls, but acceptable. And then the big HP percent, especially for Rakan. And I do have him on a blade set because him having high crit rate, so that he can crit with his skill 3. Excuse me. So that's why I kept this blade rune, because it had the high HP, it has the accuracy, so then he can land his provoke, has the speed on there, which I'm going to grind because a faster Rakan is always a better Rakan, and then the crit rate and crit damage. But if the crit rate and crit damage weren't there, and it was like a flat attack and flat HP, then I probably wouldn't keep this rune. Because this was a blue rune at one point, and just a really old rune. So if I do happen to find an upgrade, then I'm most likely just going to get rid of this, even though I grinded it. But the blade runes, I'm mainly just looking for the crit rate, crit damage, and attack percent. That's the purpose of me keeping all of these blade runes. The reason why I have this one on the Darien is because it had the really big HP and defense and the resistance on there, and that's what he needs in order to survive in my raid team. So that's why this blade rune was kept. But this is also a really good rune, and this will go into like what I was talking about before, when the main stats that you want on your rune, for any rune out there, you want to do speed, the HP, defense, and attack percent, like all those percent stats. So this rune could actually be really good, and I can grind in the attack and HP. And I probably could even grind in to make that defense a little bit better. Actually, we got a maximum roll on there. But I could enchant out that resistance, and for maybe like a legendary speed grind, or a speed enchant for 10 speed. And then I could also put the put the legendary grind on there, so it could have 15 speed. I could have 31% HP, 25% attack, and then if I wanted to, I could do like 21% defense. That'd just be like an all-around stat rune that I could put on anybody. And that would just be like a fantastic rune that I could just put out there, and it would just make any of my units better. So that's why I say like having the speed, HP, attack, and defense percent, since you can grind them, then you can keep those runes. But if it was just big HP and if it was just like, so the rune dropped and it was just a legendary with the HP percent, defense percent, and like flat attack and resistance, then I'm not going to keep it because it's a blade rune, and I just don't need those stats in the blade rune. So next set, Rage. Rage could be pretty diverse. I'm not really looking for tankiness in Rage runes. To an extent, if it offers all those stats that we were just talking about, then I'm going to keep the rune, especially if it's legendary. But other than that, then I'm looking for big crit damage and big crit rate, and also big attack percent. Usually I'm not too worried about speed with Rage runes. Some of them do happen to have pretty good speed, like this rune here, but I'm mainly just looking for the big attack percent, the big crit rate, and the big crit damage. The crit rate is important because you are putting a set on that has crit damage as its force set. So what I always tell people, that if you don't have at least 70% crit rate, then there's no point to have like the crit damage set. Because if you're not critting at least 2/3 of the time, I would say to even get it up to 75%, so you could do 3/4 of the time. Because for 1 out of every 4 hits you're not critting, then this set is completely useless. So you want to try to have, you want to try to have 100% crit if you're going to be doing the rage sets. But if you have a booster, like a crit rate booster, like Kebahessenuf or one of the other horse, whatever the wind horse is, I forget his name at the moment, Immensity. Yeah, so if you have crit rate boosters, then it's okay. But besides that, if you're running like 50% crit rate, just get another set that could provide you better stats than having the 40% crit damage. Like, yeah, that one time you crit is hit really hard, but after that, then you're just not utilizing that set at all. You might as well just have like a good violent set, a good swift set, a good like fatal set, because fatal would be better in that situation if you have less crit, because at least your attacks are still going to hit hard if you don't have high crit. If you don't crit, then your attack will still hit hard if you're on a fatal set. But if you don't crit and you're on a rage set, then that crit damage just goes nowhere. Yeah. So big crit rate priority for rage runes. Speed, not that important. Attack percent, really important. And then more crit damage is also really important. Defense percent slot 2s are really helpful for rage sets for your bulldozer and copper. And then also having them on big crit rate and crit damage builds. And then, yeah, so like this rune here, crit rate, crit damage, has a big HP, doesn't have any speed in here, but yeah, it's a defense percent slot 2, and it has some crit rate on it. Same thing with this rune here. I wish the defense percent would be a little bit higher, but it provides me that crit rate in order for Copper to crit when he uses his skill 3. And same thing with Bulldozer. And then like Lucian, that's all I'm looking for. Is you can see a trend with all these runes. There's either big attack percent or a big defense percent, as well as crit rate and crit damage. That's really all I want on these runes. Alright, so next set, Focus. Focus, not many monsters really need to be runed on high accuracy unless it's like Okeanos, or pretty much just like your strippers, like Chiwu, Okeanos, maybe Hathor, you want to all have on high accuracy. But if you need a focus set, most of those monsters you either want to be really fast on a swift set with like will runes, or on a violent set with will. Yeah, so it's hard to focus on using focus runes. Didn't really mean that to be yeah, alliteration. But yeah, so focus runes, as long as it has good stats on there, then I would suggest you can keep the rune. But there are some focus runes that I'm probably going to get rid of, like this one here. So I was using attack percent slot 2s. I was keeping a lot of them just because I was lacking on them at the moment. But I'll most likely sell this if it doesn't roll high into crit damage. But if it rolls high into crit damage, then I'll probably enchant out like the flat attack, or maybe even like the defense or accuracy, depending on how it rolls. But yeah, if it goes high into crit damage, then I'll keep it and put it on a damage dealer. But besides that, I'm just going to sell it. And the ones I do keep are the ones that are high speed, HP percent, defense percent, and ones that have even more accuracy in there. Because if I'm going to use the accuracy set, then I'm going to try to alleviate the accuracy stress on my other runes. So I'll look for like speed, HP, and accuracy on my focus runes, and then if I want to do like a violent focus or like a swift focus, I want to put that like on an Orion, then on my swift set, I'm going to be looking for speed automatically, and then for HP and defense, and then whatever that force stat is could just be whatever, preferably like resistance or accuracy. But on my focus rune, I'm going to do the same thing. Going to look for speed and HP, but then look for like a big accuracy sub, so then I don't have to focus on accuracy on my swift sets. Yeah, it's like this rune right here has the high speed, has the defense, the HP percent, so it's a well-rounded rune. But if it was like this rune here, since it has 2 flat stats, if this doesn't roll like max rolls, if I don't get at least like 20 speed out of this, probably higher than that, then I'm probably not going to use this at all. And for the defense percent, even if it rolls into like really crazy high defense, like maybe I'll use it and enchant in like a big HP percent. But even then, like I could just find another rune with close to similar stats and not have to waste like a rune slot just for like this random accuracy rune. So next, Endure. Endure sets are kind of creative. If you do want to have high resistance on a monster, they're really useful for like your raid teams. So if you do want to put them on your raid monsters, then I would suggest using Endure runes. But typically, yeah, you won't use Endure runes on anybody else. The reason why I have it on the Leo at the moment, it has pretty decent stats for the tankiness and overall stats for a Leo because he doesn't need speed. And I like to have my Leo on high resistance so that he doesn't get like defense broken, attack broken, or oblivion by like Tessarion. But generally I don't keep Endure runes unless they have stats that I'm looking for. Like you see the blue rune here, I kept this one just because it was attack percent, and like I said prior with like my accuracy rune, I was keeping a lot of attack percent slots 2 and slot 6 because I was really lacking on attack percents that had crit rate. So this one has crit rate on it, so I could put it into like one of my damage dealers if I am looking for that attack percent slot 2, and this could just alleviate the stress on me having to try to complete like a fatal set or complete a rage set. By not having that set with attack percent. So then this rune could just be squeezed in there to try to alleviate the pressure on the other runes. But stats always take priority over sets. If you can make a set while still being able to have good stats, then yeah, go for the set. But if not, then just go for stats. If you're going to use, I'd rather you have like 3 energy rune sets and just have all 6 energy runes than to have like a full swift set that has like no stats on it at all, just because you want that 25% extra speed. Really not worth it unless the swift runes have like crazy speed on there and you're really trying to take that first turn. But if you're only like at a 240 speed altogether with a swift set, but the energy with like 18,000 HP and like 900 defense, and then your energy set might drop you down by like to 210 speed, but then you can get up to like 32,000 HP and like 1,500 defense. Like, yeah, go for those tankier stats because that's just more important than just being able to go 30 speed faster. All right, so fatal sets, pretty standard. You're just same thing as a rage set. You're looking for high crit rate, high crit damage, and attack percent. Some speed in there would be okay, and then some HP percent for tankiness. But besides that, you're really not looking for any other stats. Maybe a little bit of accuracy because there are some damage dealers that do like beneficial attacks with their with accuracy. Like Sigmaris will freeze with her skill 3 and skill 2, and also like stun with skill 1. Zyros, he could with high accuracy on one of his runes, he's able to reset with his skill 3, reset the enemy's cooldowns. The homunculus, the wind homunculus is the one that I use. It gets a defense break, I think a heal block, and a branding effect. So yeah, having some accuracy on her runes as well is also pretty good. And then I also have, I think, Beth. Beth is okay with accuracy to land the defense break, the heal block, and the destroy the health bar. So yeah, so there are some monsters that are okay. Yeah, so as you can see here, Kumar, he's not a typically a fatal set user. I just have this fatal set on him. It doesn't have any speed, but it had like beefy stats that I was looking for, and Kumar with like high crit rate can be really effective. And as you can see, there's no speed here, but it had a good attack sub, a good crit rate sub with defense. So I actually could use this for like a tanky, if I wanted to go for like a shield will cleave team, then I could actually probably use this rune on maybe like a Zyros and just make him a little bit tankier and with still a big attack sub and a good crit rate sub. So I could probably take this off of Kumar and put it on a Zyros. I think the reason why I didn't is because I'm already using a slot 2 HP percent that has a bigger attack sub on Zyros, as you can see right here. So that's why I'm not using also the slot 6. And the reason why this is on Zyros with the big HP percent instead of attack percent, like vice versa, then is because I have him on a shield will cleave team. So it doesn't really matter how hard he hits, because I'm planning on taking second turn and killing the enemy team after they're already done taking a turn. So I need them to survive more than dealing just big damage. Despair. Despair is kind of funny. It's because you can go either way with Despair. You can go damage dealer, like I have with Antares here, a little bit of speed, some crit rate, and some attack percent. But then you can go tankiness, probably like I have on, who do I have a tanky rune on? Yeah, like Chiwu has like the big HP percent, the big defense percents. Say Kumar. Let's see here. Just trying to find like some of my tankier runes, because these runes can go all over the place. Like you can get big. You can go like I have Ethna. She has crit rate slot 4 with a high speed sub. You have Antares with the crit damage slot 4 with big crit rate, HP. I don't know. So Despair runes can really go in all directions. Yeah, but Despair runes with decent speed, but then you're looking for also defense and HP percent, because if you have a really fast Despair set, it really doesn't matter, because it's not going to be as, like, your fastest Despair set is not going to be faster than your fastest Swift set. So if it is, then you should probably be farming a lot more, because your Swift runes do provide that extra 25% speed to your monster. But yeah, so your Despair runes really should just be like well-rounded runes. They should have good defense, good HP, good speed, and like good accuracy for your support monsters. And then for like your attack monsters, it should have good attack percent. Excuse me. Yeah, good attack percent, good crit rate, good crit damage, and maybe like an HP percent or like good speed. But if it doesn't have like good, well-rounded stats, then a Despair rune really isn't that worth it. Because like Despair runes in the beginning of the game are used for like TOA, trying to clear the TOA floors, and if you're really squishy, then you won't be able to clear the floors because the waves are just going to destroy you. But if you have a decent speed, then you can take the first turn and like freeze or stun the waves in TOA. Damage doesn't really matter in TOA, especially when you get to the later floors. Yeah, so having the accuracy so you can land your continuous damage effects, so you can land your freezes, land your stuns, and then also provide that tankiness, so if they don't get stunned, frozen, or CC'd, then you have enough survivability to withstand some blows. Yeah, so Despair are a lot like Violent runes. Like Violence are very versatile runes that you could either do the damage dealer sets. Yeah, so like on my Aegir, the really big crit rate on there, the good speed, the HP percent. Yeah, so we're done talking about Despair runes now. So now we'll go over to Violent, but yeah, Violent runes are very equivalent to Despair runes. You want Violent runes that have really good HP, defense, speed, and like accuracy, and then you want other Violent runes that have good crit rate, crit damage, attack percent, and speed or accuracy as well. So both of these are very like versatile runes. Probably, so I can show you like some of the better runes. I think my best like slot 5 is probably on my Chow, which just has overall like really good stats. And then yeah, you can go like on Diana, that kind of has like a mix between the two, that she needs like big HP but then also needs a crit rate, speed, crit damage not as important, but I do have my Diana on a crit damage slot 4 build, so I needed big Violent runes that had like big crit rate subs, but also had like decent speed and also had good like HP on there. So the runes have to be very versatile in how you use them. So Violent and Despair, if you happen to keep them, then there's really not big like judgment value on from other people, because most people keep like random Violent and Despair runes because they could turn into something really good. But generally you do want them to not, like, you're not going to speed chase technically with Violent, so you're not going to keep like a blue rune that has like 5 speed and some resistance on there. It doesn't really matter that much. You're looking for stats overall. But if you do get like an HP percent slot 4 or slot 6 that has speed and resistance, then yeah, you could maybe use that on like your Colleen or your Chasun for raids. Yeah, maybe like one of your frontline tanks. But yeah, for like your healers, to have them on the HP percent slot 4 and 6, that's like a blue rune, that has speed and resistance as the substats, then yeah, hopefully it rolls into speed. If it rolls into resistance, then yeah, you'd probably sell it. But yeah, but that's why I'm saying, like, violence and despair, it's just really hard to judge selling it. So I think that just will come with some little bit of experience. But yeah, but don't keep violent runes that don't provide you stats. Don't keep ones that have flat stats. Just overall, if it has like flat attack, flat defense, accuracy, and resistance, then that's just, regardless, you're just going to sell that rune, because you can't grind accuracy and resistance, and you can get better stats with percentage stats than flat stats. All right, vampire runes. Pretty much the only monsters that are going to use vampire runes are going to be damage dealers. So you're mainly looking for attack percent, crit rate, crit damage, and HP and speed. Those are like the 5 stats that you're looking for your vampire runes. If you're not a damage dealer, they can't really take advantage of the vampire set, just because the life drain ability is based off of how much damage you deal. Yeah, so I don't think we really need to go into vampire runes. Nemesis. Nemesis is really beneficial a lot for like healers that are going to cut in between like damage dealers. A lot of people put them on like their Artemials or their Prahas on arena defenses. So because a lot of people do double Lucian offenses. So if the first Lucian takes a turn, does its AoE against your defense, you want to ruin your monster that's going to heal. You want them to be really tanky, like a Praha, but on Nemesis runes, so then it'll cut in between the 2 Lucians taking a turn, and it'll heal the entire team, and then the second Lucian will go, and if it doesn't deal enough damage, then your whole team survives, and then you get to really battle it out, and sometimes your arena defense will win. Also, like Triana is pretty big on on Nemesis runes, especially if you're trying to counter people like an RTA. Nemesis is really good. A lot of people started veering away from using will runes on their Trianas and RTA because Daphnis, when you strip the will, put the defense break on and kill, so they'd rather just have, if they survive the attack, then they get to take a turn, heal themselves, provide their team immunity. So yeah, there's different strategies to it. But overall, Nemesis is just kind of like used for healers in order to cut in between damage dealers to help your team survive. I do have a couple of my damage dealers on Nemesis, like Garo, because usually Garo you don't rune tanky, but because of his passive, he'll gain attack bar when he takes damage, or it takes damage that'll kill him. He'll gain 50% attack bar, and as he takes damage as well, then he'll increase the attack bar with the Nemesis, so he can constantly rotate his skill 3. So there's like creative ways that you could use Nemesis. Yeah, but you generally just want to keep a Nemesis rune if it's very, very tanky and has decent speed and just overall just tanky stats. You want to do ones that have speed, HP, defense percent, maybe a little bit of accuracy in there. Or if you're just trying to go like the damage dealer route, you want to go for yeah, like attack percent, crit rate, and crit damage. That I have, yeah, like this rune here has all the stats that I was looking for: speed, attack percent, crit rate, and crit damage. All right, will runes, kind of like violent sets. Yeah, they could be. Will could pretty much go as a 2 set on any monster. So yeah, just what I said with all the previous runes. You could have ones that have the HP, defense, speed, and attack percent, or HP, defense, speed, and like accuracy or resistance. Or you can go like the damage dealer route, do crit rate, crit damage, attack percent, and speed. Or instead of speed, go HP. Yeah, so they're just as versatile as violent. So it's really hard to dictate which ones to keep, which ones to sell. So it's okay if you have a little bit extra of will and violent. And yeah, that's all I'll say about will sets. And then for shield sets, you're typically looking for big HP subs, big defense, big speed, because the shield set is going to be, like for your shield will teams, like the reason why people do shield will is because of like Orions that are on offenses or defenses You bring in a shield will, so you bring that shield set in, so then Orion will strip the shield instead of stripping the will and applying all those debuffs to the monster. Then, yeah, so it's just like that extra, um, like, negative effect mitigator. So it's like in Okeanos, if you're gonna try to, if you have shield will on you, and then Okeanos takes a turn and uses his spear of whatever, like the skill 2, where it strips one of your buffs and then also resets your abilities. If you have shield will on there, then he'll strip the shield and then it won't strip the will, so then he won't be able to reset you. So I also use a shield set in my fast dungeon team, which saves me for like necro runs, because I'll use Lucian. I use Lucian, double Sabrina, double Talia. So as you can see here, my Talia is the one that has the shield set on. Yeah, so I use a shield set to, because the shield set will reset every time you move in a wave in one of the dungeons, the Kairos dungeons. So in wave 1, when Lucian kills the first wave, then the golems reflect damage back at him, so he'll actually kill himself by all that reflect damage. So the shield set is there to protect Lucian from taking some of that damage. So yeah, for the first wave and the third wave, when even in like the mini boss stage, there's a couple golems there as well. Because like Talia as well hits really hard with her skill 3, especially if Sabrina puts a defense break on one of the golems. So if she uses her skill 3 on one of those defense broken golems, she'll do almost 35 to 40k per hit. And yeah, that's just a lot of reflect damage back at her. So if she didn't have that shield set on, then she would kill herself as well. Alright, revenge sets. They're useful, but like to an extent. You don't really have to prioritize using a revenge set over other sets, but just for like specific monsters, a lot of people use a revenge set on Vertihile just because he has a chance to revenge when he takes damage, and if he revenges and crits on the enemy, then your team will get 20% attack bar per hit, and since he uses 2 attacks with his first skill, revenge sets only allow you to revenge with your first skill. Yeah, so when Vertihile crits with his 2 hits on skill 1, then your entire team gets like 40% attack bar. Other monsters that are effective on revenge sets are just ones that have really strong skill 1s. So like the paladins, they can possibly stun you with skill 1. Chilling with skill 1 is really good because he hits 3 times with his first skill, and each one of those hits has a chance to strip a buff off of the enemy. So with him revenging, it's really good. Bulldozer on revenge could be effective just because with the skill 1 hits 2 or 3 times, depending on how many like the buffs or debuffs are on the enemy. But he has a chance to stun, and he hits multiple times with this skill 1. I also have a revenge set on Jolton because he has a chance to defense break and heal block if he revenges. Yeah, so there's a lot of interesting ways on how you can incorporate revenge sets. You can get creative with it, but I generally just recommend doing it on monsters that have an effective skill 1. And most of the time, all these monsters, you want them to be tanky, so you're going to look for tanky stats. So HP percent, defense percent, speed, and then just all the other stuff like accuracy. Since you're looking to stun, then you want accuracy, and then if you have like Vertihile, then you're looking for a big crit rate. It's like here, the speed with a big crit rate on there has a defense percent, and yeah. So effective revenge sets. They're creative. It's a fun way to incorporate a different style rune that like gives your monsters maybe like a fighting edge. Yeah, but you generally want like the speed on there. You want HP and like defense percent, unless you want to rune somebody like Verd, where you just want the crit rate. Destroy sets. I don't use destroy sets unless they just have. I don't really think like destroying enemy HP is really effective, so I don't really care about the set itself. But I will keep runes like this that have all the stats that I'm looking for a damage dealer. So I'll just put like this as a broken set on one of my monsters, just because it has the stats that I'm looking for. I did put a set on Jolton, because I was just testing it out if he's doing damage to the enemy team, and he reflex damage, and then but that doesn't come into effect with the destroy runes. But Yeah, but I was just testing the destroy runes on him to see just like how much damage he deals. So that's why that set's on there. But yeah, but typically I'm just looking for big attack subs, crit rate, crit damage, and HP or speed, or I'm just looking for the speed, HP, defense, and attack percent all in one rune with really heavy stats, and that's the only reason I would ever keep like a destroy rune. So with all the other runes, the fight, determination, enhance, accuracy, and tolerance, I really won't go into those. Like fight sets, um, or maybe the only one I'll talk about. I have my Emesity on a full fight set. I had all of them that are speed related and with decent tankiness on them, like HP and HP percent, defense percent, and a good amount of speed. Because he goes second in my arena offense, my Bastet will boost, and she has my fastest Swift set. Yeah, and then my Emesity will go, and he is on a full fight set, and I'd have that so then he could provide 24% more attack percent to my Lucian, so then he'll just hit that much harder. And then he also will boost up my Lucian to take the next turn. So yeah, so my Bastet goes, and Emesity goes because he's decently fast. And then he'll boost up the Lucian, which will give him the crit rate buff, and then he hits for like 13,000 damage per card, somewhere around there. But yeah, so that's all the info. I know this is a pretty long video. What is this? Yeah, 46 minutes now. So apologize for the long spiel. But yeah, but this is just like my thoughts, processes of if I'm running dungeons, what stats am I looking for per rune? Why specifically that rune? Because for example, like the Fatal set, if it had like HP percent, flat HP, maybe like a defense percent, and then I don't know, like flat attack, maybe I would keep that on like a Violent rune because it has good tanky stats. But for a damage dealer, I'm not looking for those stats on that rune, so that's why I prioritize like crit rate, crit damage, attack percent, and speed on like a Fatal rune. So hopefully that just sums up my thought process through all these runes. So when you're farming, yeah, pay attention to what rune it is, pay attention to what stats it has on there, and then also pay attention to the runes that you already have, because if you're just keeping runes, because you're not paying attention to all the other runes that you already have, then you're just building your inventory, and then, yeah, it's stressful to maintain all the runes, and you're withholding mana that you could use to power up the runes that are actually going to be effective for your account. So sell the garbage. And yeah, hopefully this video helped you correlate which runes you want to keep, and maybe you could do some rune maintenance on your account and get down to maybe like Make It a Bud, who only has like 115 runes outside of the runes that he already has equipped on his monsters. Because as you can see on mine, my rune inventory, I have 563 runes outside of what I have on all of my monsters, and altogether, if you go to managing your runes, it'll show all of your runes that you have, and I have 1,249, but I've been to some accounts that have like 2,100. Some of them have like 1,900. Even I think I have too much with a little over 1,200. So, yeah. So hopefully this will help you get down to like 1,000 runes, and it just makes your account that much easier to manage. So, yeah. Thank you for watching the video. I will see you in the next one. Don't know what I have planned for it, but hopefully this one helped you out. Leave some comments below if you have any more advice on runes, and besides that, I'll see you in the next video. So have a good one.